I need a lawyer. But the knower of all, God Almighty, who knows everything, He knows your hidden thoughts and motives. Why do you want somebody to come in between you and Him? Not even Muhammad. Wallah, we don't need Muhammad to come in between you and Him. You don't need Akhi Jibreel to come in between you and Him. You talk to Him, communicate with Him, direct contact with the Almighty. He is closer to you than your jugular veins, says the Qur'an. You don't need mediators between you and Allah. Talk to Him direct and He listens to your prayers. No vision can grasp Him. His promise is true. Forget Him not. No begotten Son. It says no begotten Son. He's got no begotten sons. You see, this word, Son of God, in the Bible is a very common expression. But the Christians don't know that. They say Jesus is the only begotten Son. Begotten, not made. That's what they say in the Catechism. You ask any Christian, how many sons has God got? This is one. Do you know that? Try. When they say Jesus is the Son of God, ask him how many sons has He got? Very simple question. How many sons has He got? God, how many sons has He got? He says one. Because he doesn't know his Bible. I said, you see in the book of Genesis, chapter 6, verse 3, it reads, and the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them to wife all that they chose. Verse 6, and when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, they had sex with them, and bore children to them. They became great men of all men of renown. Sons of God. How many sons did he have? Many. In the book of Acts, the second book of the Bible, it says, God is speaking. He said, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. In the book of Jeremiah, in the Bible, in the Holy Bible, he says, Ephraim is my son, even my firstborn. How can you have two firstborns? But God has got that. What it means, look, if I want to explain this, it's going to take a lot of time. If the Christian wants to know what it means, I will explain. In the book of Psalms, God speaks to David, the prophet David, Dawud alayhi salam. And he says, I will declare a decree unto thee that thou art my son. This day have I begotten thee. Today, I begot you today. What does that mean? Ask me, I will tell you. This is my son. I have begotten you today. He didn't tell that to his Jesus. He's telling to David that thou art my son. God never spoke like that to Jesus. He spoke in the third person. When he was baptized in the river Jordan by John the Baptist, they say that a dove came from heaven, sat on him, and the voice was heard from heaven, saying, this is my son in whom I am well pleased. He's the third, like speaking to the third person, not to him, that you are my son. To David he said, thou art my son. This day, today, I have begotten you. In the New Testament, Paul tells us, as many as are led by the Spirit of God are the sons of God. What does it mean? He's telling that every Tom, Dick and Harry, if he follows the will and plan of God, he is a godly person. In the language of the Jew, he is a son of God. In the language of the Jew, it meant nothing more than that. So it's got God has got sons by the tons in the Bible, by the tons in the Bible, Holy Bible. But the Christian doesn't know that. See, and we haven't educated him. We don't tell him. We got to educate. The Jews should have done it. That's a primary job of the Jews. This is a Jewish book. The Bible, the Old Testament, is a Jewish book, full of Jewish Eastern metaphors and similes, which the Westerner can't understand. Sons of God, cohabiting with daughters of men. What is that? Sons of God are spiritual creatures. How can they cohabit with flesh and blood? Ask them. How can? No, say they're the fallen angels. Fallen angels, what they want to have sex with women for? What kind of seed will they plant? You just ask them. No. By God, they have no concept. They have no idea. You see, the Bible is a Jewish book. It's an Eastern book, full of Eastern metaphors and similes. But the very first people who came into contact with the message of Jesus. Outside Jewry were the Greeks and the Romans. The people who came into contact with that message. The first people were the Romans and the Greeks. And these Romans and Greeks, they had the man gods beyond counting. They had the Jupiter, god of heaven, Vulcan, god of the fire, Neptune, god of the sea, Mars, the god of war. And Zeus was the father of all these gods with his many wives and many children on some planet. And he was sending his sons into the world. As the need arose, his Horus, his Isis, his Osiris, his Apollo, his Gemini. All myths, mythology, fairy tales. But to a people who believe in fairy tales are not fairy tales. To them it's real. Among such a superstitious people comes this new idea of a new son of God born in Palestine. So what was metaphorical to the Jew became literal to the Greek, and they became the pioneers of that message to the rest of mankind. So today, mankind is made to see a Jewish book through Greek glasses, as the Greeks saw it. What was metaphorical became literal, and they are telling the whole rest of mankind, whether they are Chinese or Hindus or the Europeans, they are all now seeing this Bible, a Jewish book, through Greek glasses. We are saying, remove those glasses, look at a Jewish book as a Jew. That's the only way to look at a book. The Englishman is speaking, he says, about his beautiful fiancée, he says she's a peach. Peach, this peach. You have fruit like that called peach. We call them peaches in South Africa. Peach. Now you go and tell your granny. He said, this English friend of mine, he's got a peaches for a wife. 3 shillings a dozen. We have them 3 shillings a dozen. So what? He says, silly people, they have peaches for wives. What do they do with peaches? No. You see, you must understand when an Englishman says she's a peach, what does he mean? He's trying to tell you she's exceptionally beautiful. In form, and in speech, in behavior, she is a picture of perfection. That's what he's trying to say. She's a peach. But in your language, peach means a peaches. In my language too. Peach means a peaches. And it's funny people, these, no. You have to understand a Jewish book as a Jew, no problem. But you don't. You're looking at it through Greek glasses. So they say Jesus is the only begotten Son. Only begotten Son. I said, look, what about these others? God says he begot them. He said, no. This is some unique way of begetting. So he says in his catechism, Jesus is the only begotten Son. Begotten, not made. So I'm asking these English-speaking people, the Americans and the Britishers, because they forced their language onto me. Wallah, I didn't go out of my way to learn English. You say they conquered my country. They ruled my people for 100 years. So I was forced to learn his language. Therefore I'm talking English like this. They taught me. So I share it with them now. So they said, he is the only begotten Son, begotten, not made. So I'm asking them, please explain. What are you trying to emphasize? What are you really trying to tell me? When you said begotten, not made. What are you trying to tell me? Please explain to me. He is begotten, not made. I said, what is to beget? Begetting is an animal act. It belongs to the lower animal functions of sex. Are you attributing such a quality to God, that God begot a son? In the Holy Qur'an, God Almighty reacts very strongly. This is a blasphemy of the highest order in the sight of Allah. He says in Surah Maryam, chapter Mary. Mary, in honor of the name of the mother of Jesus Christ. There is this chapter in the Quran called Surah Maryam, chapter Mary. You know that? There is no such chapter in the Bible. No such book in the Bible. This one I have in my hand is the authorized King James version of the Bible. It has got 66 books or booklets put together, makes this encyclopedia called the Bible. The Roman Catholics have 73 books to make the Bible. 7 more than the Protestants. But among the 73 of the Roman Catholics and 66 of the Protestants, there is not a single book or booklet in the name of Mary, the mother of Jesus. In the Holy Quran, you have a chapter called Surah Maryam, chapter Mary, chapter 19, verse number 8.